with Peggy is in a new location. Just a temporary one. I mean, this is my summer place. Well, it's supposed to be a vacation home. Right now, it's pretty much come down and work. But we're making significant progress. It's an old Victorian house, side-by-side duplex, and we are taking it from ragtag, falling apart, really kind of grungy, to something wonderful. So come on in and I'll show you. Now, the way this house is laid out is typical of a lot of homes of this period of time. And we have the front room, which is the living room. The room behind me, I believe, was supposed to be a formal dining room, and behind that is the kitchen. I really can't imagine much use for a formal dining room down at the beach in the summer. I'm not expecting to serve dinners for 12, so we made it two kind of sitting room, living rooms. This table, however, we did get at a garage sale and really works well because it opens up on both sides, and we can use this to serve a buffet if we're having a bunch of friends over, and we actually did move it to the middle of the room for Easter dinner. So it does work if you really want to have a sit-down dinner. Most of the furniture and accessories in this room were literally either found on the side of the road or from a garage sale. One or two key pieces we purchased or were particularly lovely that we had in our other home and we're no longer using. But most of them were just put together at a minimum of expense, and I have to admit, a little bit of luck. I really wanted a red couch. I wanted to introduce red into that room to correspond with the red that I wanted to paint this room. And I could not believe that I actually found, while they were moving it out from the house to the road, a red sectional couch, almost exactly the color that I wanted to paint the front room. Now, I was able to match that color. The color of the front room is called Shy Cherry and blends perfectly. So you're standing in a red room looking into a yellow and red room. It seems to work very well. Those bright colors, though, could be a little much if they went from floor to ceiling, which was why we decided to add the wainscoting on the bottom. You'll be amazed at how easy that is and not particularly expensive, and it adds a dramatic look to any room. These are the packages of wainscoting that we were able to purchase, and it comes already pre-cut. A package like this costs less than $10, so you can do a room this size for about $100 of this material. And it fits in, it's tongue and groove, and we were lucky because the baseboard molding in all of the rooms in the house have a flat edge, so we were able to line them right up on the flat edge of the molding, and then use very thin nails and some construction adhesive and just pop them right in. It wasn't difficult at all. Going around the windows was a little bit tricky, and then we added a molding at the bottom and a molding at the top. This is a really easy process, and pretty much anyone can do it with just a little practice. My 13-year-old son helped me and my husband in these two rooms and was able to do up the stairs by himself by using a template to cut the angles. And he did an excellent job, so it's not something you can't tackle on your own. The other tricky thing in these rooms is that the ceilings are textured, and there was a lot of water damage from before the roof had been replaced. And spackling that and spraying on this popcorn spray actually requires a bit of an artist touch to get it to blend in, but I think we've done pretty well. But now I want to show you the kitchen. Come on. This is really a very large kitchen for a beach house, large enough to have a table and chairs, and totally functional. I have everything here I need. Microwave, refrigerator, stove. Did have to replace the stove, time to get rid of the avocado green. But it's really charming. I would love all new cabinets, but we had to economize, and so we decorated the ones we had. Note that there's a chicken theme going on here. Couldn't bring my chickens to the beach house, so decided to decorate with them instead. The wallpaper I got on clearance at a wallpaper store, and it was very inexpensive. And then I cut the chickens out of the wallpaper and used them to decoupage on these wooden plaques to then attach to the cabinets to try to spruce up and give some character to the very plain and somewhat worn kitchen cabinets. It also connects that side of the room with this side of the room. The dark green picks up the colors in the wallpaper as well as the somewhat questionable kitchen floor. But we're going to hold on to that for a while and managed to do some repairs and picked up the green. The green frame brings my entire flock of farm animals to the beach at at least in their image, and I matched the green with the material I used to make the little curtain and made napkins to match. All of this very simple, just straight sewing. Once again, the shutters were found on the side of the road. Some Victorian house had had them in the attic for years, just the very same day I was going to go shopping. Sometimes things are magical. And they fit perfectly, allowing for privacy when you need it, but allowing the full sun to come in when you open the shutters. Now this is a really great idea to save space in anybody's kitchen. We call this the lazy Kallax, and it's actually a piece of furniture that came from IKEA that we modified. It actually came with round chrome wheels, but we put it on a lazy Susan. You know how the cabinets on top of refrigerators are always out of reach? You're just not tall enough, or you need a chair, and you end up never using the space effectively. Well, this allows it to turn, and you can access whatever you put on here. The two sides are decorative, but the sliding walls allow storage. I keep all the dog supplies up there out of the way, and out of the way of the dogs as well. So it works really well, and you can reach it from in front of the refrigerator, which is a big improvement and really saves space. Now, we found this little white table completely covered in dirt and grime in the basement, but it's on wheels. It's really handy to have next to the table so that you can put all your extra food and what doesn't fit in the middle of the table on this little cart. Of course, it's wickedly ugly, but we're going to make some improvements on that. I'm trying to locate the spray paint that I used to spray the baker's rack. I'm having a little trouble finding it, but I found where I can special order it, and then I will spray paint it to match. It will be color coordinated, functional, and basically free. Now, I want to take you out in the tiny backyard, and here we have an opportunity to go from 10 acres of farming at Blooming Acres to small space gardening in a tiny backyard. This small backyard is charming, and it reminds me of the way it was when I lived in New Brunswick years ago. I've tried to make multiple applications for the yard and take advantage of some of the things that are wonderful. The dogs can actually get shade by going underneath the two small porches that are back here, and that's very helpful because sometimes it's very hot. The window boxes add nice color and variation in height, which is important because in small spaces you want to be able to use vertical space as much as possible. Now, I've managed to get this beautiful tomato plant in, and there's a few peppers, 2 other tomatoes, basil, and an eggplant hidden among the flowers. So I have some pasta sauce in my future. Now, in this particular container right here, I have okra plants, and we're going to show you some things that you can do with okra once we get back inside. Now, down the steps, this trellis was actually here, and I left it. It's kind of in bad shape, but it has some wonderful things going on. These climbing roses are prolific. You can see they've made many, many flowers, and it's always a good idea to remove them when they've finished blooming. This one looks like it's starting to fade a little bit. Since it's sticking out, I'm going to take it a little further back. The trellis is also combined with this beautiful clematis. So the clematis will bloom all summer after the roses slow down by the end of June. On that side, we have a honeysuckle, which had red flowers in the spring, and if you note at the bottom, there are morning glories climbing up that will be in full bloom by late summer. This side of the garden tends to be a little shadier than the other side. The hostas do fairly well. Hostas are not my favorite plant, but I have to say that they were here. I took out quite a few, thinned them a little bit, but the selection of hostas that are here are some of the more interesting ones, and so for the time being, I'm going to let them stay. Now note on the fence, there are all kinds of hooks. You're at the beach. You need a place to hang a wet bathing suit. There's not exactly a great location for a clothesline. So I got decorative hooks. I intend to add more, but some of them are very interesting. Add an attractive look when there's nothing hanging on them, but a place to stick your bathing suit when it's all wet. We've also added the outside shower, and soon to come is going to be an orange and white striped canopy tent to give you privacy in the shower. Also, we added the air conditioning, and I'm sorry, but there's just nothing you can do about it. A central air conditioning unit's ugly, but let's take a look at what we did to camouflage it. Now, this air conditioner is highly functional and very ugly, and in a tiny backyard, it had become the focal point. Not something that makes me happy after all the work trying to make the yard beautiful. But I found this wrought iron metal sculptural piece. It's actually meant to be hung on a wall. And I found these are actually fence supports. And used those little black ties, nylon ties, to hold it together. Inserted these into the ground and now have camouflaged the view of the air conditioner. This plant is called a passion vine and has spectacular flowers. It has very fine tendrils that are clinging on its way up, and all of these are buds that will soon open. I'm sorry that none of the flowers are open today because they are spectacular. This one's probably going to be in full bloom tomorrow or the next day. In front of this is an eggplant that also has flowers on it, and it's a very attractive plant, but I'm really looking forward to eating the eggplants. So we have a nice blend here of use of vertical space, vines, and vegetables all mixed in together for a very full, lush, and practical garden in a small space. New Jersey is the garden state for many reasons. Our agriculture is diverse and beautiful and highly productive and keeps our land in open space. But what few people are aware of is the growing industry making wine. The Garden State Wine Growers Association has grown to 19 members and has wonderful events all year long. Right now, we are at Hopewell Valley Vineyard, located in Pennington, New Jersey, and we're going to talk about the upcoming Jersey Fresh Food and Wine Festival that's going to be held here in August. I'm with Barbara Bradsky, the owner of Hopewell Valley Vineyard, and I am just magically in love with this beautiful setting, the vineyards behind me, the beautiful tasting room, the music that's played on the piano when you're sitting in that room, and it feels like we're in a place taken out of time. Barbara, this place is gorgeous. How long have you been here?
We planted our vines in 2001. We started with about 10 acres of planted vines. We have about 10 or 11 varieties planted here, some hybrids.
Varieties of grapes?
Grapes. We have Chamberson, we have Vidal Blanc, Treminette, Barbera.
Wait, that's the names of wines.
Right. It's also the name of grape, of the grape, right.
I bet a lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah, most of the time wines are named after either the grape or the location that they come from.
And so you started with 10 acres. How many acres do you have now?
We have about 18 right now. We just planted another 8 or so a couple of months ago. We added some more Barbera and some more Chardonnay. And actually our goal is to get to about 40 or 45 acres within the next 5 years.
So the whole industry is growing like this.
Absolutely.
You know, that's very exciting. I think it's an important aspect of the future of New Jersey agriculture. It meshes so much better with the ever-increasing suburbia in the state. People like living next door to a vineyard, I suspect.
Absolutely. A lot of people come here and say they feel like they're in Napa.
So how do you learn to make wine? I mean, it's not something that everybody learns from childhood. Some people do, like my grandfather, but it's not as common
everybody's
today.
Grandfather
Right,
made
everybody's
wine.
grandfather, right.
It was a little more potent back in those days.
Was it?
Yeah. Actually, my husband is from Tuscany, actually from Italy, and his family's had vineyards in Tuscany for generations, in the Brunello region and now in the Chianti region, and he's been around winemaking and grape growing his whole life. And you know, I'm a relative newcomer to it. Not until we actually got involved with the vineyard here did I really start taking an active part in it and really realizing what New Jersey had to offer in terms of grape growing and winemaking. New Jersey's 5th in the country for wine production, and until I got into the industry, I had really no idea the possibilities that were in front of us. And
the city of Vineland is actually named after the grapes that used to be grown there.
Absolutely.
So our climate and our soils are very conducive to this, and so it's a good match.
And it's the garden state. So
it is.
And grapes are one of the top 10 crops produced in New Jersey, and it's just going to get bigger and better.
What is this festival that's coming, and why is it here, and is it always here?
No, actually, this is our first year for the Jersey Fresh Festival. It's been in different venues over the years. We thought that this would be a great location in central New Jersey to sort of branch the north and the south to come together.
What are the dates for this year?
It's August 12th and 13th from 12 to 5. There'll be about 15 different wineries participating and about 15 different restaurants, you know, upscale restaurants. And there'll also be crafters, and there's live music. There's a couple of different bands each day, and I mean, it's just a great time. There's going to be some farmers there with New Jersey produce, and it's just a great time.
And the other wineries will be here as well?
Yes, there'll be about 15 different wineries here.
So now I'm standing at the bar in the beautiful tasting room at Hopewell Valley Vineyard, and I am accompanied by Dr. Gary Charles Pavlos, who's the county extension agent in Atlantic County, but his real claim to fame is that he is the liaison between Rutgers University and the entire wine growing industry in the state. Now, Gary, how long have you been here working with these groups?
22 years.
And what have you seen develop in this industry in that 22 years?
Well, it's been quite amazing, actually. In 1981, we had a Farm Winery Act put through, and we did that because at that time you could only have one winery per million people. That law was written back in Prohibition. So when we had the Farm Winery Act put through, we went from 4 wineries to 12 wineries in only a few years. And now we've gone from 18 to over 20. Actually, there's probably up to 30 licenses going to come online. So we've grown an awful lot in the last few years.
So how many acres are actually planted in grapes about?
There's probably about 800 to 900, maybe even 1,000 acres now. It's tough to keep track because there's so many new vineyards going in.
And they're adding more all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you got there?
Well, this is a gold medal Barbera that I'm fond of from
named
Hopewell
after
here.
Barbara?
No, actually it's the grape from the Piedmont area of Italy, and they are actually growing it. That's an amazing part about New Jersey is the diversity of wines here. I like to tell people that no matter what wine you like, you can find a wine that you will like in New Jersey. Because we make everything from Cabernet and Chardonnay to Barbera to fruit wines, blueberry, raspberry, cranberry. So no matter what wine you like, sweet, semi-dry or dry, classic French, classic Italian, we have it in New Jersey.
So I was talking with Barbara about the upcoming festival, and I think she said there's going to be about 15 different wineries from all over the state here that day. So if you came to the festival, you would get to sample how many wines?
You could easily do over 100, 125 wines.
That's a lot of sampling.
Well, if you know how to do it, you can do it. Would you like me to go through how to actually do it?
Am I going to like it?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Well, typically what people do is they go up and they get a sample and they'll pour this much, and they tend to, in this country, we don't actually taste. We don't really know how to taste, so we just take a quick shot and it goes right down our throat. And you miss actually a lot of what wine is. So most people who educate about wine and to know wine use a system called 5 S's. And the 5 S's are basically sight.
Well, that's beautiful.
That's
Looks
beautiful
like
red ruby color. Swirl, and we swirl because the least used organ in your body is the nose. You actually could smell up to 3,000 different smells in a wine. So we smell, and then we sip, and that's something we also don't know how to do. You need to swirl the wine throughout your mouth because your taste buds are actually in different areas of the mouth. Acid is on the side, sweet is in the middle, bitterness is in the back. So if you just shoot it through the middle of your tongue, you're not going to taste the wine.
So you miss half of what the experience
would be. So when we
be.
sip, we go all the way through. And then the last S is savor. In other words, what does it taste like now? Now I'm getting the cherries, now I'm getting the violets, now I'm getting the tannin, now I'm getting the chocolate.
So there's not actually cherries and chocolate in there.
No, but actually the essence that gives the cherry taste is also in Barbera. So it is there. So the thing is, I now know if that wine, if I like it or not, and I don't need to drink the rest. And at a festival, you can just pour this out and ask the winery for the next wine. So
but
I
if
will
you
drink.
like it.
Well, yes, but the thing is that you can go to a festival and taste 70, 80 wines and drink much less knowing these 5 S's now.
I see.
And so if you have 100 wines, it's like going to school. If you have 100 wines and you only taste 20, you remember in school, 20 out of 100, you failed.
So the idea is to go and taste as many as you can.
Taste as many as possible. And the wineries want you to taste as many as possible.
Okay, let's say you can't make the festival
Yes.
and you still want to taste one. Can you go to all these wineries?
Oh, definitely. In fact, the wineries have set up a wine trails that you can actually go and they're ready for the travelers during the weekend, and you go from one winery to the next.
Is that what those little maps are on the website
On the
where
map
they've
site,
got the
right.
little wineries marked, but
Right.
some are in bright colors?
And tells you exactly how to get there, and you go from this one to this one to this one. And again, if you use that 5S method, you're fine because you're just taking a sip.
Now these wine trails, if I remember correctly, seeing the little maps, they're like 3 or 4. And isn't there a wine trail event, like where it's actually set up?
It's all set up, yes.
And,
if you go on the website, the NewJerseyWines.com.
I think that's July 22nd and 23rd of this year.
That's right.
And then there's 2 more. One is around Thanksgiving weekend, and one is around Valentine's. But you don't have to wait for those to do this,
you
right?
can do your own wine trail anytime.
And the directions are on
The
there, so you
wineries
don't
are
get
glad
lost.
to have you.
And so you get to spend a day driving from beautiful vineyard like this one to another beautiful vineyard to another beautiful vineyard, and actually get the real flavor of why we're the Garden State.
That's right.
All right, so how many festivals are there?
Well, I think that varies depending on each year.
But
I
what's
think
what's
probably
coming
3
up?
to 4. The Jersey Fresh is coming up. There's the Waterloo Festival in
Now, there
September.
was a Waterloo Festival in May,
May.
but now there's going to be another one.
In September.
Labor Day weekend?
Labor Day weekend. And then there'll be the Harvest Festival up at Alba at the end of the year in October.
That's at another vineyard.
Another
So
vineyard, which is a wonderful venue because it's so, people always say at that Harvest Festival, they always say, it's hard to believe this is even New Jersey.
Okay, we know there's wineries. Is the wine any good? How do you know?
The wine's wonderful.
Oh, you caught me. This magazine has an article about okra. I love okra. I've cooked okra my entire life, and my favorite way is with bacon and onions, and it's just delicious. But there are just some people who don't like it because it's slimy. I don't really mind that it's slimy, but if you don't like it, you don't like it. However, Anti-Slime Technique magazine offers a couple of ways to cut the slime. They suggest that when you cook it, you make sure it's absolutely dry. That's the first thing. Another thing they say, you can soak it in vinegar with a pinch of salt for an hour before cooking, or you can cut it into little wagon wheels and then lay them out at room temperature for several hours before using it in recipes. Those are ideas that you can try with okra so that it doesn't get slimy when you cook it. But they have 4 recipes: oven roasted okra, warm okra salad, okra chopped salad, that's just cutting it up and eating it raw in a salad. I've done that for years, it's delicious. And then okra kebabs. But I think we're gonna try the simple oven roasted okra. The author claims it's her kid's favorite, so let's give it a try. Now the recipe said to toss the okra in olive oil, bake at 400 degrees for 30 minutes, and add sea salt. Now I don't have sea salt, but this is Jane's Crazy Mixed Up Salt, and it has some other spices in it, and I love this stuff, so I'm going to substitute this for the sea salt. We have the olive oil here, though, and we're going to coat them. And it was also very important to keep the sliminess to a minimum and allow them to crisp to make sure that the okra is dry. Now this okra is very dry, so that should work out fine. And I have preheated the oven. It's cooking. Of course, it is kind of a hot thing to do on a hot day, but it's not too bad today. And I'm very excited about trying this. Okra is actually also called gumbo and is commonly a southern food. It is a member of the hibiscus family and works somewhat like an ornamental. It gets beautiful flowers like the hibiscus. Unfortunately, they tend to open only in the morning. and so you don't get to see them. The flowers tend to be sort of a pale yellow with a ruby-colored throat, but they're just as lovely as the ones on the tropical plants that you see in the tropics on the islands, or that you can buy and grow in containers on your patio, and you have to bring them in for the winter. The other interesting thing about these is that if you grow them in your garden, these pods continue to elongate, and the sides actually split open, exposing the very round seeds. They can be used as excellent dried flowers and can be spray painted or dyed and last a very long time because they actually get woody. That's part of the reason why it's important to pick okra, not only in your garden, but at the supermarket, that's small and tender, because as the pods elongate, they have a tendency to get a little woody and tough. Okay, I think that they are appropriately coated. And we're going to sprinkle on some Crazy Janes. And then I will turn them one more time so that they are salted on both sides. And then we'll pop them in the oven. I've never actually had them like this, but I've never had an okra I didn't like, so this should work out just fine. I don't think it could be too much easier. Okay, in the oven they go, and we'll just see what happens. Okay, well, we've been checking on these okras and they do not seem to be getting crispy, but we're going to take them out because they've been in the oven now for 35 minutes, and we're going to pop them out. And I have to say, they smell wonderful. They're a little too hot to eat, but they are a tiny bit crispy, just a tiny bit. They are not mushy. They are definitely not mushy. None of them seemed, oh, this one's crispy. Okay, we're doing good. So this is how they look. And you can certainly see that that is not a mushy, squished, exploded okra. And I'm going to wait till they cool down, and then we're going to try one. Okay, well, we visited wine country. We're down at the beach, and we're about to try a southern dish, okra. Let's see how this is. It's almost crispy. Not quite crispy, almost crispy, but it's really good. You'll just have to join us next time and see what we come up with for our next At Home with Peggy. Thanks for joining us. We have so much food. There's not room in the middle of the table. You can put it right on this little metal